Welcome, folks. This is Tom O'Brien of TFNN. We go 5 days a week. We go 9 hours a day. We go 24 hours a day on the internet at TFNN.com. Always remember, folks, whatever you think about, you bring about. Whatever you focus on grows. Hope everyone had a great day, safe day. Let's make it a great night, folks. Let's take a look at one of our quotes. Hope cost nothing. That was by Colette. Market-wise, let's take a look at it out here. We had the Dow Industrials up 20, NASDAQ up 35, S&P's up 7.5, gold contract flat at $1,293 an ounce. Silver up 3 cents at $19.36 an ounce. Platinum flat at $1,467 an ounce. Copper $3.17 a pound. Light sweet crude up 61 cents, trading at 102.63 a barrel. Bonds, we had the 10-year off 3 ticks at 125.22. The 30-year down 18 at 136.26. King dollar down 42 ticks at 80.06. The euro up 16 at 137, and the yen at 101.41. Our phone number is 877-927-6648. It was called, folks. Want to know what's going on in your world? In the world of the S&P, let's take a look at them. What do you have? Okay, we are at 1885.75. The high of the downdraft that was created last Wednesday is 1888.16. Now, what we had on Friday is this, folks. Okay, so Thursday, the downdraft, we get to 1826.26 on the S&P. You got back inside the lower range. You had an expansion of volume. That sets up that it wants to go down to the 1814, which is the April 11th swing point. Wants to trade down to the February 5th swing benchmark, which is 1737. Okay, so what happens on Friday? Friday, you actually had an expansion of volume, which sets up like, oh, we got an expansion of volume, 775. We had come down on 750. You start going up at 775. If you're a bear, this is exactly what you needed out here today. Why? Because we had a contraction of volume once again, 583 million, versus your downdraft out here of 750 million. If we go to the SPY and we set up this correlation, this is what you're going to see. The SPY today traded to 188.89. We closed at 188.74. You did volume of 58 million. Versus the downdraft of 154 million. Now, we closed at 188.74. If, in fact, it had closed 3 pennies lighter, it would have set up a failure. What that failure would have been is that what you have is that if we go back to, let's see, that would be Wednesday, yeah, to Monday, last Monday. Last Monday, you go topside on the S&P, and just watch how this shakes out. You had 89 million shares on the SPY. We had a top with 66 million. We came down the first day with 73. It was really sideways. And then that's when the next day it came down and got inside the range with 154 million. Your correlation is that you're even weaker getting up into this level. So we're at 188.74. You know, we'll see whether it can hang those into those 2 extra pennies. This could go into this 188.96. I don't see it hitting the high once again. And the reason being is that the weakness is dramatic, even in the context of how we approach the high on the 12th of May. We're going to take a look at the Dow Industrials. What do we have with the Dow Industrials? So Dow Industrials did about the same deal, up 20 bucks, not a huge amount. Dow has a lot longer to go to even get to the top of that range. That is 498. I mean, 632. And we're at 511. 16,000. I just getting rid of the 16,000. So we're at 511 right now. The high of the downdraft day was 662. I don't expect we're going to see that. Now, NASDAQ Composite. What do we have in the Composite? Composite up 35 bucks today. Still a dead cat bounce. Composite has no volume. In fact, didn't have volume on Friday either. That's where it was divergence here. And the divergence was that the S&P did have some juice behind it in correlation to the NYSE. There was juice there. There was not juice in the NASDAQ. There was not juice in the small caps. What we have here is this. NASDAQ Composite did $1.5 billion. That is going against some major, well, yeah, the last time that we got up last week, it only could get to 41.55. That's 25 bucks away from where we are. We'll see whether it can even get into that area once again. We are at, the low of that high is 21.28. If you take a look at the 3 Qs, the correlation inside the 3 Qs, this is what you have. Up 61 cents. You did 28 million shares. The 3 Qs are saying that, yeah, they're going to go after the swing point from last Wednesday, which was 88.61. And today we did 88.46. The correlation, how we're coming into that is pretty intense, meaning we only did 28 million shares going into 131 million. The Russell 2000. Okay, so first let's actually take a look at the Russell itself, the index. So what we have with the Russell is this. We're up 11 points today. The Russell had already done a 100% move of a move. The low in the Russell, February 5th, was 1082. So 1082. We go from 1082, make the high at 1212. We get back down to 1082. Now, we did that on 316 million shares versus 292. So on your daily, it's saying, hey, guess what? You're going to be back down there. We turn around and we put this on a weekly, and on a weekly basis, what you have is that last week we did, there she is. Last week we did 1.4. This is what's really interesting. 1.446 billion versus 1.491. Okay, so you came into that with slightly lighter volume on the weekly, but you, in that context, you need about 10% lighter volume. So that's saying also on the small cap cap's going to get retested. Now, we go back to the daily, we take a look at we use the IWM, and we take a look at the IWM and do that correlation. So on the IWM, your benchmark was 107.27. You did 60 million. We came down on Friday, we did 75 million. That's on your daily. On the weekly, we take a look at and put the weekly up here, and what you're going to see on the weekly is that last week we did 320 million. That was going into 315 million. That's also saying, guess what? We're going to be back down here. When we take a look at the daily correlation today, this is what you have. It's dying on the vine. You have 34 million shares up. You're going down with 65 million. We didn't make it to the top of that bar Wednesday, which is the 111.12. We made it to 111.04. So the small caps, again, are showing that they are the weak dogs. I love the small caps, the IWM in particular, to basically make it up to this 111.34 area. The small caps, folks, have released a huge amount of information last week, and this is what it was. You came into the swing point from the 5th of February. Monster volume. That's saying, guess what? It's going to get down there. I suspect it wants to break it. The small caps themselves look to me like they want to go down and trade into the June 2013 level. In that context, that is going to be intense, number one, because of the fact that the S&P hasn't broken down yet. So if you just want a correlation as to where, in fact, the S&P can go, at this point in time, you still have the swing point from April that wants to be tested and the swing point from February 5th that wants to be tested. And I expect will get tested. Why? Because it's very unusual when you get a small cap or one of the indices coming down there. And what we also have is the aspect of the NASDAQ almost made it down there, and the other indices don't. But the bigger deal is that the way that the small caps traded last week, it's saying that, guess what? The S&P wants to go to 1627, which is a monster move way down. You know, I suspect 3-4 months, it'll take, but we're in the downdraft. You stay right there, folks. We'll be coming right back. We ended out, finish up 20, NASDAQ up 35, S&P's up 7.5. We got gold at 1293, silver it's at 1937. We're going to be right back.